you know, their team, now that we have a little bit more time since they're taking their time with their champion selects, they're a team that really plays, you know, what we would consider standard, nothing too flashy.
Yep.
And it seems like they want to be targeting kind of that X factor coming in from BKT, right? Where G4 is the one that activates a lot of that, you know, playmaking ability. That's something that I think a standard team like Phat Ultimate that plays around objectives more so than team fights, they want to curtail that strength a bit more. Taking a look now at the first pick coming in, BKT will be picking up Jarvan. We are on the 5.4 patch, so Jarvan has received a little bit of a nerf in terms of his durability coming in from his flag. Nevertheless, still a very strong jungler. They'll be happy to take that as their first pick, but that of course gives Gnar over to Phat Ultimate as well as Janna. So if BKT wants to build a strong engage around the Prince himself, they'll be dealing with quite a lot of team fighting prowess as well as disengage already coming in from these first two picks.
Yeah, so the good thing about having the Gnar and Janna locked in as well is that it does not necessarily give away too much information to your opponent. And Gnar, even though there's a lot of number changes and, you know, duration changes to the Mega Gnar form and stuff like that, and Janna as well, you know, recently getting a few numbers dwindled down a little bit.
Yes.
Still overall very strong champions and very fundamental to a lot of team competitions right there. So I really like the choices coming through from Phat Ultimate. BKT here, I think they really need to channel what they want to do right now because they already have the Jarvan locked in, even though he does fit into a lot of competitions well. But with the Ezreal coming in, and we'll see if that's going to be the Darius. I was hoping for it, but
yeah,
I don't think that's going to be the case.
Interesting.
And, yeah, so we'll have the Thresh instead. Gives me a pretty good idea that they would want to go for somewhat an engage heavy composition. And the beauty about having the Ezreal locked in as well is we do start to see a resurgence of a lot of Ezreals in the mid lane. So
of course.
You don't really know whether that's going to go into the hands of G4 or is it going into the hands of Lloyd.
Inspired by none other than Faker Senpai in the Korean lands of Legend. Of course, doing a very good job making a name for Ezreal in the mid lane, and of course we'll see whether or not that translates into more mid Ezreal play in our own region here in Southeast Asia. Two picks going over to Phat Ultimate now, and I do agree with you in the sense that their first two picks have left them to be a lot more open in terms of what they want to pick up. The Janna changes, just to talk a little bit about those, I'm sure we'll see them in greater action once the game kicks out, but I really like how it's a little more powerful. You feel a little more play coming into the action when you move towards her. It's not just a static bonus. That's really fun. We'll see how exactly Phat Ultimate plays around that. And it looks like they're picking up even more support with a tad bit of assassination in there. Now this Rengar rightfully should be in the jungle, given how the rest of the champions have stacked up.
Yeah, that's right. And, you know, just having the Lulu in the mix as well just brings about a bit more protection to whom they choose to be the AD carry as well. And if you look at overall what they have up on the team composition, you can expect a lot of mobility coming through.
Definitely.
Even with the Gnar as well. So it's pretty much a very straightforward competition coming through with Gnar, of course, being the main tank and Rengar going to be there to do quite a fair bit of damage on his own end as well.
That's right. We do apologize if you're catching the interference that we're hearing in the stadium on your own stream. Not too sure what the issue with the audio is at this moment, but you know what? It's warming up.
Yeah, it's warming up.
System's warming up. Just as the players themselves are warming up, because we're starting to see a few more interesting things here, right? The Ezreal as well as the Graves locked in does mean that the Ezreal will be going into the mid lane, and that means that the last pick will be their top lane. It looks like it will be that Sion. So BKT have picked a double AD composition with a lot of ways to engage, especially with the Sion now. Looks like Ezreal will be able to poke people out, and then you have a lot of ability to just burst somebody down, whoever you pick, with a hook, a knock-up. Really interesting stuff coming out for BKT. We've called them out as one of the teams that has found their stride, been a lot more confident when it comes to team fighting, and they've certainly picked the composition. We'll be able to pull that off.
Yeah, and the thing about Bangkok Titans and Phat Ultimate as well, these two teams are the ones to exit their separate groups in the top position. BKT, of course, coming out of Group A, and Phat Ultimate from Group B, of course. And even though these two guys are at the top of the tables, they do have a pretty distinctive play styles for themselves. BKT, they pride themselves more towards team fighting and a bit more towards grouping up and forcing the fight towards their opponents, whereas Phat Ultimate, they kind of specialize more towards maybe finding the picks here and there, and then just going for the objectives past that as well. So, you know, very different play styles, and you can even see that reflected in the team compositions that they have built up today.
Quite interesting coming up from Unfun Ultimate that their last pick would be the Corki. I was thinking that they'd be more inclined to pick something along the lines of a hyper carry, given that they had picked up the more supportive mid laner of Lulu on top of the Janna changes, where you have to actually be moving towards her to get that, the static benefit is no longer there, and having a little bit more mobility or a bit more hyper carry power, it does look like they're a tad bit shy in terms of damage, especially in the early game. Mid game, they will hit a nice spike with Lulu's base damages being augmented by some items, as well as Corki. But you can kind of tell why the Corki pick is still in there, right? I've had a little more time to think about it now that the timer is ticking down, but if everything's going to be piling in with you, Thresh flying in there, Jarvan and Sion all in the mix, just able to lay down all your AoE, you've got a good mix of physical magic damage. It's hard to itemize against, and it might just be key to, using the support heroes to keep Corki alive long enough to just unload all that damage.
Alright, and we'll be going for a very short break. And after this, we will be coming back for the very exciting action between Bangkok Titans and Unfun Ultimate. So do stay tuned. We're coming right back after this. Right, we're live.
We're back.
That's right, we're live, and welcome back. If you're just joining us, welcome, of course, to GPL Group Stage 2. My name is Chris. His name is Flavors. We did show you the picks and bans earlier, so
there we
just
go.
to recap very, very quickly while we wait for the spectator delay to go down. It is going to be Bangkok Titans going up against Unfun Ultimate in the very first match of Day 1, week number 1. And it is a best of 2 series as well. Picks and bans has already gone by. And I just want to quickly break down what are some of the strategic gameplay that might come through before we actually enter Summoner's Rift. If you look at Unfun Ultimate team composition, and I think rightfully, like what you mentioned, they have a very strong early to mid game composition. It's exactly what they are trying to do here. They want to get that spike very early on, enter the mid game with a much better and much more goal advantage and substantial advantage.
Yeah.
And try to close out the game from there. Whereas for BKT, yes, they do have some pretty good late-game spikes as well. But then again, Ezreal, of course, being played by G4 in this case, is going to take a while to scale up, especially if you consider the Muramana.
Yeah.
And even for Warlock as well, who's going to be playing the Sion on the top lane. We kind of know how annoying he can be when he uses that reworked E to actually poke you down the lane itself. But then again, for a Sion to be really tanky up front, you will need some time to get some items in, and that's when he's actually going to be the one to just be a meat shield for the rest of the team.
Very, very true. I think that if Unfun Ultimate, it does look like a little bit of a scattered composition. I think we'll really have to see how the Rengar plays into it, but you've rightfully pointed out that definitely with some of the champions like Lulu and Corki, you can hit this mid-game spike that, if channeled properly, right, it will put a lot of pressure on both Ezreal and Sion, who want that time and that more calm atmosphere to grow. That does, of course, mean that if BKT can hold out in the mid-game, they should be looking very, very solid as they enter the late game. And that's something that I think Unfun Ultimate, it's going to be interesting to see after the break what these teams are going to be bringing in terms of new to the board, right? Because we established that BKT likes to team fight. Seems like they're confident that they can hold out the early and mid-game. Whereas Unfun Ultimate this time, it seems that we've called them out for objectives. They might still be sticking to that, saying pick the early and mid-game strengths, contest all the objectives, because Ezreal, he might not want to get involved, he's too weak at the moment. Sion, he's probably still going to charge up, not too tanky, might not want to be involved in all the mess of the objectives.
Yeah, that's right, and I think my eyes is going to be focused towards the bottom lane, because for Unfun Ultimate B1 and for BKT's Lloyd, both of them have very distinctively different playstyle. Lloyd is going on one of the champions that he really likes to go for, which is Graves. And combo that out with Thresh, you just have fantastic burst potential down the bottom lane. And for B1, usually he's on the sort of the hyper carry style.
Yeah, that's true.
AD carries like Tristana and those pretty much the auto attacking ones.
Yep.
This time on Corki, I'm not too sure how it's going to perform, but we have seen back in the day how strong the Corki and Janelin can be when, you pop the Eye of the Storm onto the Corki.
That's true, yeah.
He's going to do a whole lot of burst damage. And then again, in the mid-game power spike, if B1 can just hold out and farm very well, the moment he gets his Trinity Forest, he's going to do so much damage that Lloyd will have a difficult time dealing with that.
Indeed, and if you're going to be focusing on the bot lane, then I have to share my focus. I think I will be looking at the jungle because it really does puzzle me that Tarzan has picked up this Rengar. Now, as for the stats we have from split number 1, the spring split you could say, or just split number 1, he has not played Rengar, at least competitively in the GPL. I'm not too sure on his own, solo queue adventures or whatnot, but this Rengar is the first time that Phat Ultimate is fielding it. What a way to start out the new split, then we'll have to see how exactly it figures in. It's going to be an exciting time, and time to see Tarzan maybe expand his role, because what we've seen from the champions he has played, Sejuani, Lee Sin, Jarvan, fantastic scorelines.
Yep. So let's see how this one's going to work, and I dare say maybe Rengar fits to the Tarzan role a little better as compared to, Jarvan.
Yeah, what's a Prince doing in the jungle?
Yeah, it's just kind of weird. Sometimes maybe when you're on an expedition or stuff like that, you might need to venture into the wilderness and learn your jungle survival techniques.
I take that back. A true prince should always, not always, but should be familiar with the jungles. Got to know what, the people of the land are up to.
Yeah, and but Rengar, I think he fits the bill more towards a jungle predator. He definitely has the looks for it.
If you had to pick a champion that you go like, okay, which champion looks the most like Tarzan?
Oh, that is a great question. I have to kind of think that through.
It's like
that
toss up between like Darius and Rengar.
Why have you not considered Wukong? He's pretty human-like.
But Wukong's that's true. It's like jungle boy grown up.
Yeah, jungle
boy grown up.
If he doesn't have like that whole suit of armor
it's the armor.
Yeah, it's the armor that's like, okay, he's like, I mean, everyone pretty much knows that Wukong is the that mythical figure.
Yeah, that's the thing too. He's mythical as well.
Yeah, but I'm saying, if I were to choose a figure, it's definitely gonna be Wukong. It's more suited for
right at home.
The Tarzan role.
Right at home. Now, something interesting as well that we can point out as we are still lingering on this gray screen is that Lucifer on his Lulu has picked up the Ignite spell. I mean, it's not too uncommon, but I do want to see how exactly both G4 as well as Lucifer play these champions, which we haven't seen on the competitive field, all too often. In fact, mid Ezreal, if it's been played, it hasn't sat in our memory. So rightfully, we should be looking out for G4 to put out, a stellar performance. Yeah, in the GPL. And mid Lulu, same kind of analysis. If it's been played, it hasn't stood out enough to be remembered. So let's see if these players can bring these champions who are not so common in these roles and really make a name for themselves. And it should be very interesting to see how they use them.
Right, let's hope that the connectivity issues do resolve themselves very, very quickly. And again, we apologize. That's one of the limitations we have in esports. Sometimes we have to deal with it. And trust me, we are as frustrated as you are. We want to see how this one bursts out, because
zero control on our end, right?
Yeah, especially so because these two teams, top of the tables. This is going to be a fantastic way to actually see how the different strengths of the teams pit against each other. So
it's the benchmark as well for all the other teams that made it through, right? The other 6 teams that are like, whew, we escaped elimination. We're part of the top 8. It's like, take a look at these two teams, see how they match up with one another, and hopefully, right, BKT as well as Phat Ultimate realize that kind of invisible burden that they have to say we are the top 2 teams of the GPL now. Let's show people what that means, and let's have a good game if we can get past the gray screen.
Yeah, and of course for BKT as well, one of the only 2 teams to make it into the top 8, not coming from the Vietnamese region. So
very true.
Yeah, keeping the diversity alive.
Keeping the dream alive.
Yeah, definitely so. And let's see, if they keep up their current performances like we've seen in group stages, this could potentially be one of the splits where we might see BKT challenge for the GPL championship title. That's going to be great for them.
Who would have thought? You would hear Chris say, or any GPL caster say, BKT in contention for the GPL championship. But ladies and gentlemen, that's a far way off. As of now, we are into game number 1 between Phat Ultimate and BKT. It is going to be a best of 2. So get yourself settled.
Yeah, grab some popcorn or whatever you like to eat. Can be almond seeds or whatever.
Ooh, almond seeds, man.
And Tarzan gonna not get hit by the Demarston standard as well, just
playing it cool.
Yeah, laying the flag down, planted his own territory, his W7X. And of course, we are playing on the 5.4 patch as well for our friends who are thinking about it. No champions have been banned as well. And B1 taking a lot of damage from Velen and a G4 as well. So might have to back off of there. But luckily for them, it is at the 1 minute mark. So not going to lose out too much. But we did see a ward being planted down on the blue side area. So they will roughly have the position of Tarzan in this one. So it looks like he might just start things off on the red buff here.
Quite interesting. We'll have to keep our eyes on how exactly Tarzan plays this Rengar. There's pretty much been, you know, two main discussions that go, Warlock trying to be a bit...
Oh, okay. I see what he's doing.
You know,
yeah, he's... Okay, so what he's doing here is that he has taken a few turret shots. He wants to do that thing where you actually go to the jungle camp and suicide to the jungle camp, hit level 2, and then teleport back to the lane.
That's right.
Yeah. That's a couple of top laners who can do that. Maokai is one of those other champions as well. They'll throw down your saplings and then do something similar like that. So it looks like W7X is going to start things off at the red side as well. So mirroring the movement from Tarzan in this situation as we have the minion killing Warlock. But that's just something that we
it's intentional, for real. Like, we've seen some GPL players go down to white camp. I think the Razorbeaks have had, you know, their hands on a few kills before too.
Oh yeah, of course.
Intentional. So that level 2 strat, nice to see Warlock bringing that out, as is expected for any pro player. And that will give him a bit of an edge in lane.
That's right. And the great thing is you get to go back and secure a ward for yourself as well. And you know for a fact that in the first few minutes or so, you pretty much won't be using a teleport in the case. So securing some lane advantage for yourself. Definitely a great way to go for Warlock in this case.
Alright, so pretty standard starts, no kind of lane swapping, no kind of double jungle going on. Just CSing back and forth. What we'll really have to keep our eyes on, or just keep track of a little bit, is Tarzan in the jungle, how he plays that Rengar. There's often the discussion of whether or not, you know, do you even bother trying to hit lanes before level 6? Or do you just, you know, power farm all the way to 6 and then hit a lane with pretty much that guaranteed, you know, burning of a flash or even a kill if you manage to lock somebody down? We'll have to keep our eyes on that.
Yeah, we'll see how that one goes, but it looks like he's moving down towards the bottom lane as well now, so let's keep an eye out for that one. Gonna move past the river as well.
Yeah, he's gotten around the vision.
That's right, he's going to go backwards, and Lloyd might be in a bit of trouble here. Looks like they're going for Velen instead. He's going to get stabbed down, and there's going to be first blood going over to Tarzan. Fantastic movement coming in from the back, and guess that answers the question, Flavis.
Very, very nice. I have to say, I was not expecting this coming up from, you know, Rengar pre-6. The safer option is always just the, you know, power farm all the way to 6, but really, really good timing right there from Tears. Howling Gale as well. If you saw it, knocked up Valen. B1 already very, very aggressively, you know, Valkyrieing in to get all that damage down, and then just the chaining of the CC from the Howling Gale into the Bola lockdown. Fantastic.
Yeah, that's right. And the great thing I love about that gang as well is that it just looks so smooth. He just walked it down there, got on that kill off, got on that, you know, charge in onto that Bola strike. So rooted Velen very nicely down to position to secure the kill off of that one. So a great first blood coming in from Unphat Ultimate, definitely setting the tone for this best of 2 series.
And that's something that I think we've seen, or we've seen rather Unphat Ultimate play with, you know, I want to say almost a quiet confidence. You know, there wasn't anything, like you said, flashy about that play, and there's usually nothing all too flashy about the way they play overall as a team. There was nothing about, you know, oh, I have to flash and get a flash Howling Gale knockup. I have to flash and lock them down with the Bola. It's like, even if he flashes out of it, the flash is burnt, right? But if everything lines up perfectly, we're going to get the kill. And it was that quiet confidence to say, we can do this. And they did it.
Yep, that's right. And that's going to help a little bit. How about B1 a little bit down the ball lane as well, as we'll have Lloyd and Valen coming back in this one. Lloyd taking a bit of burst damage from the Phosphorus Bomb, of course. But Terra is going to be there to assist him with the Eye of the Storm if possible. And at this stage, we did see Ness getting taken down quite low up the top lane, and that's kind of the annoying thing when dealing with the top lane Siren, right? He can just use the Roving Onslaught to pretty much push you out of lane if you get lined up. Kind of like a bowling ball.
I honestly think it's one of the most troll skills in the game. Just in the sense that, you know, it pushes a minion. It's an offensive skill. It's like, stop shoving things in my face. You know, Lee Sin, at least he has the decent respect that if he wants to attack you, he flies himself to your face. Sion, on the other hand, is like, hey buddy, I'm gonna be annoying and I'm gonna throw a minion in your face. It's like Syndra, but even more annoying, right?
Yeah.
But the best Sion players know how to be offensive like that, right? They line up the minion just right.
Yeah, it does help you secure the CS line quite well.
Yeah.
You know, considering that you're a melee champion as well, and you get a lot of airtime down the bottom lane. Looking at both B1 and Lloyd, seems to be pretty quiet so far. Both of the laners quite comfortable with just you know, taking the farm. Not going for any overly aggressive move in this situation.
Yeah, and honestly, there's no harm kind of just sitting in the bot lane for a little bit in terms of our camera action, because every lane pretty much you can see across the board. Other than in top lane, it's pretty much been a farm fest. Interesting to see Ness take a little bit. Ooh.
Okay, we go now. Oh,
Close,
the Death Sentence not landing onto B1 though.
If you can see the particles as well coming out from B1 every time his character model faces towards tier, that's the Janna changes for you. The increased movement speed only when you are moving towards Janna.
Yep.
And I like how there's that visual indicator as well. It gives both allies, you know, okay, I know I'm moving faster now, but it gives enemies that window as well, saying, okay, Janna doesn't have that static bonus anymore. If they overextend, you know, they go past her, they're chasing, say, beyond her, you know, she's behind them. You can really punish them more effectively than in the past.
Yeah. Pretty unfortunate timing for Tarzan right there, because pretty fresh ward that was placed down by Valen in that situation. So that one's not going to work out too well for him, so he's going to go back up. And yeah, so other than that very first blood that we saw coming through with Tarzan's help down the moment, haven't been seeing any other action from there. But of course, up in the top lane, we do see Warlock building up a small advantage, and Tarzan is now coming back into the lane. Might be that false confidence that Lloyd and Valen has, you know. They didn't know for a fact that it was Tarzan that cleared out that ward, so a bit defensive off of that one, and I think they did figure out that something was wrong there.
Yeah, now the worry, ooh, a great ward right there spotting Tarzan, and that means more than just the vision gain. It means that they know, BKT knows that he's been on the bottom side for a long time. 007X,
yeah,
he's got to be careful.
Out of that one, and Ness does have his ultimate available, but the rage bar was not building up on his side as well. You could have imagined how things would have went differently if he was in the Mega Alpha. He would have dealt so much worse than 007X in that situation.
Literally would have crushed him with the Meganar form. But back to my point on Tarzan being spotted by that ward, it means that they know that the level 6 for Tarzan will be delayed a bit more, and it gives Lloyd and Valen that no longer false confidence. You know, they have the confidence to know that he's gone from lane now. And I have to wonder whether or not Team Ultimate maybe tunneled a little too much, a little too long right there with the camping of Tarzan to try to get that mid-game Corki going. I mean, the first blood did go over to Tarzan, so it's only assist money on B1 right now. But you can tell, right, they're trying to channel a lot of resources to say, this Corki's got to reach that mid-game power spike as soon as possible.
Now we'll see if that comes into the expense of Lucifer in the mid lane, of course, because he hasn't been able to do too much damage to G4, and he's just slowly, quietly stacking the tier of the
That's right.
So, like we mentioned in the pre-game, he's going to be the one to look out for in the late game when that Muramana gets stacked up. So, when he has all this free time to just farm up in the mid lane, this is just going to be fantastic for BKT in the long run. So, we'll see if Unfat Ultimate eventually chooses to respond to that one, and we might see some action coming through on the bottom lane. Tarzan is actually moving around into his Tri-Brush area. 007X is around the region as well. This might get interesting here. B1 taking a lot of damage, getting played in as well, but here comes the Valkyrie. Venom takes a lot of damage now. Two-shot barrage from the back, not going to land. 007X going to grab the lantern just to show his appearance there. Co-starring in BKT sure right here.
That's got to be the most anticlimactic almost 3v3 we had right there.
Yeah, I was looking forward to it.
Yeah, both junglers, right, waiting in the wings, and the AD carriers and support kind of go like, are you guys coming? Are you guys like, where's our jungler, right?
So what do you want to do? Come on. It's like, tango. Sometimes when you have two new dancers on the dance floor, it's like, do we put forward the left leg or the right leg? Or,
it was really like that, right? Because we saw both members, or rather members on both teams, kind of not being all too sure with what they want to do. Not going to happen. Not going to hit right there. But we saw B1, right? He's like, all right, I'm going to bait for you, Tarzan. I'm not going to use my Valkyrie. Hey, man, where are you? I've got to use my Valkyrie. And Valen the same thing, right? It was like, all right, I'm going to bait for you, 007X. But they were so slow to collapse onto that in the end, it was pretty much just a 2v2. And I love this move coming up from Alpha Ultimate. I'm not too sure whether or not they know their blue has been taken, but they saw Jarvan slide over past mid lane and said, our blue's up means their blue's up. He won't be around the blue. Let's just go for that. We can come for blue later. Really nicely done by Team Ultimate.
Yeah, that's right. And securing pretty much for free as well.
Oh yeah.
There was that pink ward there to sort things out if Bangkok Titans did have any vision around the area, but in case then we did see the 3-shot barrage come through.
Close.
To try to snipe off the blue buff, of course, but Lucifer's gonna get that one up for himself, so no problems whatsoever. Still a pretty eventless game to say for the least, and both teams have sort of evened out the goal score as well, but pretty much the difference comes through from the top lane. Warlock just using that E to just farm out as quickly as possible. And in the mid lane as well, I have to say G4 is farming very, very well on this Ezreal pick here. So even though we are quite used to seeing him on Assassins, looks like his Ezreal pick is doing fine so far in the first 10 minutes. And here comes Tarzan on the back though. They are going to commit to this one, and wow, did Lloyd just exploit off of that.
That was absolutely mad. You saw how Tier flash exhausted. It was so fast for me, I'm not sure. Did he land the Howling Gale? I mean, the commitment to say, you know, Tarzan's got him locked down. He has all his summoners available. We have to go right now, you know. Yep. And all of that said in Vietnamese, right? So even more crazy and hyper.
I would wonder how to speak Vietnamese just to express that.
Absolutely crazy. Again, that wasn't quiet confidence. That was, you know, killer confidence coming out from Tier right there, saying, all right, you've got him locked down, Tarzan. I see that. I'm gonna answer with my own lockdown, and they absolutely exploded Lloyd. So this time the kill does go over to B1, and good for Phat Ultimate, because if you look at it, folks, it's only 700 gold between these two teams, and we're getting past that early game into more of the, you know, the meat of the mid game. And I have to worry because it doesn't feel like Phat Ultimate has done enough.
Where's the knockup? Doesn't go down to Ness, but here comes the unstoppable onslaught, and Ness gets deleted by Warlock. Commander up in the top lane. And it looks like 7X finally finding the knack for that gank that he wants to. And that's going to be one advantage going over to BKT. Much needed after what happened down the bottom lane.
That's right. You know, just as I was mentioning, yes, they've been getting kills in the bottom side, but is it enough? Thankfully for Ness, the CS discrepancy is large, but he's hit that Sunfire cape even though he's fallen, right? So he will be able to push out the lane a little more effectively now that his tower is down. He should be able to match it relatively well. Here we go. Here's the transition for B1 into the mid lane. Has completed his Trinity Force right around 13 minutes. Not a bad timing at all. But really, G4 as well as Warlock are starting to become a bit of a problem. You can see the health bars on Warlock. I mean, that's Sion for you, right? He just starts to become unkillable, especially in the late game. Corki, yes, he will have that mixed damage to go through, you know, the of Warlock if he decides to go that path, but I don't think it'll be enough. The confidence in which Warlock just walks around, nah, he's good, man. Really, nothing's gonna happen to Warlock.
Well, let's see what's gonna happen.
Okay.
There is 4 men chasing down him. I think he is in a bit of trouble.
Well, if you bring your whole team, something's gonna happen.
Well, he's gonna try to chase down the Tarzan, but there is that Scarlet Crab buff to actually help him out of escape out of that one. So
you know what,
APU
Chris?
does come out here.
That was pretty much the clearest case of Castus Curse right there. Because honestly, with how big he is, he should have the confidence to walk around like that. But Team Ultimate say, you know what? If you're gonna do that, we're gonna bring our whole team, even the TP down. So yeah.
I think he did not expect the rest of the Ultimate squad to collapse down to him. And so we saw what happened on the screen. He was like, do I want to stay? Do I want to go? Do I want to flash over the wall? He was quite indecisive of that one.
Yeah.
And he definitely paid with his life off of that, of course. So one more kill now going over to Tarzan, getting 3 stacks. And he did not go for the bone tooth necklace. And I think that's because... Yeah, I think that's because with the new changes, it's been incorporated into his own champion right now. So he don't necessarily need to buy the item. Beyond getting knocked up in the top lane though. There's some damage from Warlock in the process, but it's going to be B1.
Oof. Oh, man.
Getting shoved in by the minions once again. The commander doing a lot of work, just throwing things at people.
Rude. Extremely rude. Nevertheless, I think what we want to say about how... You know, back to my...
Hold on now, in the mid lane, before that, hold that sword. Tarzan picks up the kill. Goes with the assist of the Wild Growth right here. But Warlock once again finds himself in a very awkward situation, but he does get the unstoppable onslaught in. Will 7X capitalize off of that. Tarzan does get that kill back. That's going to be the shutdown going over to Jarvan in this situation. Lucifer trying to run for his life, and he will survive to tell the tale another day.
Shutdown money secured on the side of BKT. 7X picking that up for himself. Ness and Lucifer going to be on wave clear duty while B1 picks up the top tower. So yes, while BKT did manage to answer a kill for a kill, the tower's going down. This is ultimate strategy, right? They wanted to channel that strength of the Corki. We saw them make a bit of a jab at the mid lane, said, wow, okay, the entire team of BKT is here. We can't take this. They make the move up top. They see that Warlock is, he's big. There's no way they can push that as well. But the moment he TPs out of lane, they secure that tower for themselves. You have to think B1 will just rotate back into the mid lane, and at five members strong, they'll challenge BKT with the mid game power spike that they have.
Yeah, and I have to say things are just going perfectly for Unfa Ultimate at this stage, because if you look at the kill distribution as well, 4 of those kills have been going over to Tarzan, so he's 1 level ahead of his counterpart W1D1 in this situation. And of course, we all know that Rengar is pretty reliant on the stacks to be even more ferocious than what he originally is. So getting those kills is definitely going to help out in that department. Right now we do have Alpha Ultimate going for the Dragon once more, but this time BKT does have knowledge of what's going on here. APU taking some damage from the Dragon in this situation. BKT securing the Scuttle Crab position right here, so that's actually going to help them out in this Dragon challenge right here. Let's see how Ultimate responds to this one. We do have Ness down the bottom lane as well, split pushing right here with Lucifer also in the mid lane trying to shove out the wave as much as possible.
Yeah, at this point in time, I just want to bring up that Warlock's unstoppable onslaught is still on cooldown, and this is something that I've realized watching across all regions. You know, not just the GPL. That professional teams still haven't gotten a good hang of that cooldown. There are cooldowns that are so-called, you must learn if you're going to be a League of Legends player, right? TF, Ultimate, and all this, but I have to hold my thought. I'll get back to that after the team fight.
Okay, we go now. Tarzan goes down straight to Lloyd. He's going to dash out of this one. Lucifer on the back end, taking so much damage. Turn gets taken down by W1D1. B1 in a lot of trouble right now. Has to flash out of that. W1D1 secures one more kill with the lance. Where will Lucifer run? Can he get off this one? The glitter lance is going to help in those. But I think that's going to be the team fight going to BKT in that situation. It is a 2-for-1 trade here. Ness was a bit late with the Mega Gnar form there, but BKT, I don't think they will be able to take the Dragon off of that team fight.
Yeah, the health bar is definitely not in the favor of BKT, and neither is the position of the minion wave. So despite the team fight going in favor of BKT, Ultimate should be able to pick up this mid tower. Warlock doing a good job holding them off, so they did get a good amount of damage. Ness still very healthy. Are you kidding me? 4v1, he just shows them who's boss.
Yeah, that's right, but W1D1 here might find himself in a lot of trouble. And wow, what are you doing, sir? He actually pushed him away. Warlock's gonna pick up the kill off of that one. Ness has to jump out of there. Really unfortunate situation for the support player for Unfa Ultimate there. She pushed him away.
You sounded like an offended school child right there. Like, man, she pushed him away. But no, really, what was going on right there from Tier? Ness was just being a boss right there, and Tier was like, you know what, bro, you're too cool for me. There's no way we can turn this around, because Ness was 4v1 and he almost picked up not 1 but 2.
Whoa!
Okay.
Well, yeah. That happened.
That happened. Yeah. So, Tier, yeah, a little bit of a flub right there, a little bit of a mistake. Nevertheless, this is something that's interesting, because we called BKT the team that, looks sharper in team fights. And yes, they did win the team fight, but then kind of in the follow-up or the aftermath of all that chaos with the low HP bars and everything, 4 of them were made to look really silly by Ness. Just 1 Gnar. They did just look silly, honestly. 4 versus 1, and they let a kill slip away. And if not for Tier's mistake, it would have actually been 2.
Yeah. I bet when it happened, a single kill drop broke down Tier's cheek right there.
Single fully stacked. 750, 750.
750 out of 750 Tier drop. It's like, oops!
My bad, guys.
Yeah, and speaking about the Tier drop, we are looking at the stacks that G4 had. Gonna stack that up quite quickly, so we might see that power spike hit even earlier than expected. I think Unfa Ultimate is pretty aware of that one, so they are going to group up into the mid lane here. Let's see how much they can do off of that. Of course, the unstoppable on top is up. B1 takes a bit of damage. Don't think there's going to be too much to worry about for the side of Unfa Ultimate, but on the back end though, W1D1 being the secret agent for BKT that sniped from the back here. Tarzan's going to use the ultimate to sort of dodge out the vision against BKT. Let's see if BKT can counter push off of this. It is the numbers game here. they do have the advantage. Warlock's going to suck some damage off. This one's going to try to keep the turret alive a little bit longer. And I think this one is, this one's definitely going to go down. But Nats here going to come in with a 3-man Mega Gnar ultimate off of this. The Wildcard's going to come up as well. But where is the damage follow-up? Nats is a huge man right now, but I don't think he's going to be able to survive that amount of damage right there. Tarzan almost getting locked in from the death sentence, but BKT does get one more kill off of that and the turret as well. It will equalize the goal score at the 21-minute mark. We have a game on our hands, ladies and gentlemen.
Mistakes back and forth from both of these teams means that this game, while it looked heavily in favor of one team at one point in time and then another, is just sliding back and forth between these two. So indeed a very, very close game. 7-7 apiece in terms of kills, almost similar in terms of tower score. And the gold score, right, that does not lie. Just 400 gold, 20 minutes, right, the meat of the mid-game. The thick of it, you have to say, and they are so close to one another.
Yeah, and, you know, while this game goes on, it looks like it's going to be that way for a while now. What I feel like is that while BKT do have some pretty good scaling on their own side with the Muramana, like we previously mentioned, the one big problem is that they do have this double AD competition, and we all know how that pans out. It was popular for a while, but the problem is that you need to try to close that out as quickly as possible, because it's going to be very easy for your opponents to itemize against you, just stack lots of armor.
For sure, yeah.
And it's going to be quite hard for you to pierce through that.
Yeah, and of course we have to call out B1's positioning as well. There's been a few times he's gotten caught out. And with regards to BKT's team fighting, that's something he needs to show a bit more respect for. So with regards to the mid-tier 1 push, it was actually a fantastic play from Valen that cancelled out his Valkyrie. And then the team of BKT, you know, collapsed on him. And this is what we were saying about in terms of the way the teams like to play, right? BKT, they really want to get into the team fight mix, which is why I like how Phat Ultimate, you know, picked up the Gnar very early on. Again, this is only the first game of our split number 2. But we'll have to see, you know, how many teams are willing, you know, to tango really with BKT with regards to their team fighting prowess. Phat Ultimate is doing a good job of it so far. And you can say that the Sion problem, even if this game drags on, because we said Sion on Ezreal will be a problem come the late game, the Sion problem will be mirrored in the Gnar problem, right? Which was the first pick for Phat Ultimate. And as you said, fully stacked armor Gnar will be just as much of a problem, if not more, than the Sion come the late game, especially for the double AD composition.
Alright then, speaking about G4, that Muramana is indeed complete at the 23-minute mark, so pretty early power spike coming through, and he has gone for the Triforce as well, so you can expect a lot of poke damage coming through when those Mystic shots land. And I think the dust has kind of cleared a bit. Both teams are quite contented with going back into lane for a while. But I think the big difference moving on from this stage onward is that Phat Ultimate does have 2 dragons up the sleeve as well. So I think that's interesting.
Oh my goodness!
In the mid lane, we did see G4 just go down in and insta-bait and try to buy some time on the back end, but that Wildcard is going to keep him slowed down. So Tarzan's going to pick up another kill yet again. That is going to be a 2-for-0 exchange coming through from Phat Ultimate. They do have a chance to capitalize on that. One damage dealer is down on their end. And let's see how much they can do.
I have to say that for Tarzan bringing out the Rengar the first time we've seen it in the GPL, he is doing a lot of work. You know, he's going to make that first, you know, that nice first impression that is often so lacking every time a new jungler comes out in the GPL. Oh, Lloyd getting quite low here.
That's right, it's going to be a bit dangerous right here. Doesn't get the last tick of damage back. And Double 7X has to flash out of that situation as well. Warlock picking up a lot of damage, but I think he should be able to back out of this one. As Phat Ultimate, they know their limits. You see, that's the beauty of watching Phat Ultimate play sometimes, is that they know their limits. They know how much to extend and, you know, how much to pull back from there. It's kind of like watching an elastic band work.
Whoa! Lucifer actually getting chunked in the mid lane. Just saw his health bar deplete from half to about a third right there. Got a little bit scared. But yeah, on the point on Phat Ultimate and one of the scariest teams in the GPL, if not the scariest, is the fact that after this game, you know, or before this game, their MO has always been go for objectives, and we've seen that, right? But with the Rengar pickup, and this being only the first time it's shown, they've added Assassination in there, right? G4 exploding in the mid lane wasn't the first time Assassination happened from the side of Phat Ultimate. Bottom side as well, Summoners available to Lloyd, Summoners available to G4, yet Tarzan was able to lock both members down with his ultimate, or just the bolus, and the rest of the team was so ready to follow up on that. I don't think that's something we could say with confidence was in the repertoire of Phat Ultimate in split number 1.
And that's the evolution of the team when you move to the next stage of the tournament. It's just fantastic to watch, of course. And we did see BKT actually pick up their very first dragon of the game. I don't think Alpha Ultimate is too concerned about that though, as G4 did have a bit of a jump scare there.
Scared me too, man. I was like, what?
Yeah, he does have 9 stacks on that Bone Tooth necklace on the current charge.
Ooh, would they really?
Yeah, they are going indeed going to go for the Baron in this case.
There are the blue pings though.
That's right, and Lord is quite far away here. Let's see if the rest of the team can actually disrupt the Baron attempt.
50% HP. Ezreal's on the scene along with Warlock. 007 as well.
Here we go, Mar and Ter trying to buy some time for the rest of the team here. Walker's going to come through as well. And it looks like it is going to be the Baron going over to Alpha Ultimate. The shutdown does go through.
Oh my goodness, that's still alive.
That's right, B1 still on the back end as well. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught for Warlock. Just to get away out of that sticky situation. He's going to ram to the wall there. But
he went quite far. Maybe he's going to help with the push with Lloyd. No, doesn't look like it.
Yeah, so they are going to trade 2 turrets in succession. But look at the positioning right now. Unfold Ultimate, they are going to march straight down into the mid lane. B1 still very much alive in this situation. I think they should be able to take this one out without the challenge from BKT at all. They are a bit late to respond to this one. So, 2 turrets in a row. Give up for the mid lane inhibitor. I don't think that's the best trade coming through from BKT.
Absolutely ridiculous objective play coming up from Unfought Ultimate throughout this game, right? We saw hints of it. You could say foreshadowings of it. When it was the blue spawn and then they realized the jungler wouldn't be around, they go straight for Dragon, disregarding the blue spawn. They push G4 just a little bit out of lane. They see Lloyd bottom and they say, hey, you know what? At best, BKT will have 3 members on scene, quickly. We can go for the Baron, right? And when they get it past 50% HP, the shot calling is so clear, right?
Yep.
Ness, you go 5v1, you can do that, Warlock, Lloyd was bottom actually, so 4v1, Warlock didn't manage 5v1, maybe you can manage 4v1. Yeah. He did that, and then the rest of them focused Baron down. So fantastic shot calling, focusing of objectives coming up from Unfought Ultimate, looking really, really sharp in this first game.
Yeah, and you can also see that they are very decisive when they commit to that call as well.
Yeah.
When you saw Ness jump into the face of the rest of the BKT squad there, everyone was so ready to assist him. We saw the Monsoon come out from Terrace just to buy time. We saw the wild growth as well. Everything was just thrown down to make sure that they buy time. And here comes Warlock. Where's he going to go? He's going to run away from
the fountain. Need to reach
back to the fountain. Back to the fountain we go, boys, as Warlock's going to go back in.
Yeah.
So I think as the game progresses, Unfought Ultimate slowly and steadily grabbing control of the game.
That's right. I mean, that's one of the visual indicators for you as playing for against the Scion or even as the Scion. When you start using your ultimates to run away, and you start using them, the Unstoppable Onslaught, by the way, for Unstoppable Retreats instead. That's a sign that you go, uh-oh, we're on the back foot now. And Unfought Ultimate has just done a fantastic job. Look at this, letting Ness push on his own. I mean, we said it, right? The Scion problem would be mirrored, if not, even worse for the Double AD team. And Ness has done a fantastic job. Sunfire Cape doesn't go for the Randuins, mind you, because they have one on Tarzan already. Just goes for the straight negation with and return damage of the Tarzan.
And with the game progressing here, just realized how how funny it would look actually for Scion to actually just run back into the ultimate. Because if you read his updated lore, right, he seems to be this very fearsome commander.
Oh yeah.
Can you imagine the commander running as he charges back into base?
This way, guys!
He's supposed to be the one leading the battle and he's the one running away. It's like, come on guys. Get it together, man.
He's the commander of the retreat squad.
Well, I mean, sometimes in war you have to retreat, but...
It's tactical retreat, as Lux would say.
Sometimes you just wonder, Silence is like really fearsome and fearless warrior. You would think that he's going to be the one staying and saying, I'm going to hold the front, you guys can retreat, whatever.
Never back down, right?
And then he's just the one charging.
Sometimes back down. That's right. So, a little bit of inconsistency with the lore. But what a world that would be, or what kind of competitive games would we have if every champion was played true to their lore, We have Mumu who just... He'd be crying, sitting in corners. I don't even know what he'd do.
I have a conspiracy about the curse of the Set Mummy.
Do share.
When you, I believe you have seen the MV, right?
Sure.
The music video. It's about him, being all sad, and he has this curse upon him that he'll never make friends.
Yeah.
My conspiracy is that Amumu is a legend, and the Amumu that we see is just something that we all imagine it to be. because we hear it as Curse of the Step Mummy. He might just look something really scary and fearsome, but that's what we imagine him to be.
Man, you're losing me. So Amumu, the champion,
Yeah.
is just our imagination of something
As
bigger.
in how he looks like right now, that green small thing,
Oh,
the
right,
Yordle-like thing.
So you're saying there's something deeper that lurks within him.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're not going to be lonely and you're not going to make friends, it means that nobody's going to ever see you, right?
I understand.
Does that make sense though?
That's very abstract, but I appreciate the philosophy 101.
Sometimes when we think, the things we think of when we're waiting for the team fights to break.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. You would think that Ultimate would just... Well, I mean, to be fair, they are pushing their lanes. And this is a sharpened Vietnamese team, we can say, right? Because I think Vietnamese teams in the past, or other Vietnamese teams, to be fair to the region, they would keep going. It's non-stop aggression, and there we go, another dragon secured. So once again, just waiting for the objective to come up. And I think that's really what makes Ultimate so scary. It's they don't rush, they don't stretch themselves too much, which is something that is lacking, honestly, that discipline in some of the other Vietnamese teams where they go non-stop aggression. We keep going, we keep team fighting. BKT on a bit of a stretch themselves, using the Jarvan ultimate to try and lock down some of the members of Ultimate. Looks like Lucifer's flash was burnt, so for what it's worth, they have that summoner down for the next team fight. And maybe now is a good time to review some of the players that we said, bringing out champions that are not so common. In the mid lane, what would you make of G4's performance so far?
I would say it's not... I feel like it's really not his fault for his current scoreline right now. There was a lot of focus down to him. But then again, choosing this Ezreal means that you might not perform the best during team fights. And you want to be in a situation where you can actually go for extended team fights where you get that extra rotation of that Mystic Shot down or something like that. Yeah. So far, hasn't been quite as impressive as some of his assassin plays, and credit has to be given over to Phat Ultimate. They were the ones who banned out all the assassins in the games. LeBlanc, Ahri, and Zed, all taken away from the equation.
Very true, very true.
So we don't really see G4 shining in this one. Was kind of expecting something maybe like a Fizz to come through, but didn't really happen for G4 in this situation.
On top of that, I think one thing we can say that has become rather standard, or rather, Faker has set the benchmark, or one of the standard, I would say a benchmark way to play the mid lane Ezreal, especially if you go for the cooldown boots, is basically when your True Shot Barrage is on cooldown, you fire it off to shove lanes. But this is something we haven't seen G4 do, even in the mid game when he started getting that considerable amount of cooldown reduction. It's not been that. He's been hanging onto it because of the team fights. And again, like you said, to give credit where it's due, it might be that threat that Phat Ultimate is suddenly bringing, with their new playstyle, which is the assassination. If somebody gets taken down, it's a 4v5. The enemy team, will be emboldened to charge into you. And if they know it's a 4v5 and you don't have that burst from the True Shot Barrage, that gives them an even greater opening, or even more confidence to start a team fight, right? Nevertheless, I do think that it does seem like G4 is a little bit, not quite settled into this new champion form.
I guess that's the beauty of the Best of 2 series as well. If something does not work out quite as well as you want it to be in game number 1, you can still go back to the drawing board and try to draw new plans for game number 2. But the game is far from over, but this might be the game-ending team fight of Tarzan. Still alive in this one. Warlock's gonna knock out multiple members from APU, but B1 on the back has just left untouched. He's gonna do so much damage. Lucifer picks up the kill onto Double7X, gets the double kill in as well. He are gonna zoom in onto Lloyd. That's the double kill for the AD carry of APU. 2 kills for both carries. Definitely a happy story for this one. Lucifer's gonna zone Warlock away from his base. Gonna buy time for the rest of the teammates to just much down the base. 20 seconds cooldown, sorry, not cooldown, death timers as well. I think this is definitely gonna go their way.
Got him. Ace.
And that's gonna be the ace to sweeten things up for Lucifer as well, just to come and bump up his KDA for a little bit. Nas is gonna tank up the turret for a bit, just to make sure that the minions don't die. And I think this is definitely gonna be game number 1. Going over to Phat Ultimate. Everyone's coming back alive on the side of BKT, but I think it's gonna be too late with Nas getting hooked into the base as well. But game 1 does go over to APU in 35 minutes down.
What a fantastic finish as well, right? Yep. We said BKT, the team fighting team, but honestly, that last team fight, not a single member of Phat Ultimate died, and they played with some of these new champs just so well, right? The Rengar jumping in to say, hey, focus me, I'm all alone. And then when they all commit, R jumps in with the Mega Gnar. If only we could get a replay of that. but just fantastic, you know, to see that definitely Alpha Ultimate, for what it's worth, bringing out some of these champions that are not so common, looked far more comfortable. You know, the Rengar, the Lulu scoreline, by the way, 3-0-10.
Yep.
Fantastic. So Alpha Ultimate just looked way more comfortable on some of these, you know, not so common champions. And that's signs that BKT need to start sharpening up some of their own play, even though they were the ones to exit group stage number 1 untouched. They've run into a serious competitor here.
Yeah, we'll see how Alpha Ultimate actually